Hey everybody, welcome to the I'm a Man, I'm 40 deep dive discussion of our 22nd favorite James Bond film, The World Is Not Enough. This is Pierce Brosnan's third outing as James Bond, as James Bond here and this comes out in 1999. Basically, the plot of this film, from what I could understand, and I literally watched this movie, I'm going to say 4 hours ago. I finished it up about 2.5 hours ago because it seemed like it goes on for quite a long time. I think that there is James in a pre-credit sequence drives a boat real fast, and then a man and a French woman plot together to, I think, raise the price of oil that the French woman owns. I think, and there's nuclear submarines that are involved in this. There's saw blades. Robbie Coltrane as a big, large Russian is in it. There's a lot of things going on, but I think when you boil it down, they're trying to sell oil for a higher price, these two people. I am Ryan, if I hadn't introduced myself already. We have Paul with us today as well. Hi, Paul. How's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
Can't wait to discuss the movie.
I'm really looking forward to it. We have our regular here as well. Well, the co-host, our other co-host, Chris Banks. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, doing well. Good to be back.
So good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. It's been, what, 2 weeks since our last podcast? So
Nobody needs to know that. That's right. Look at all the weight I've lost. And as a very special guest today, we have our first guest ever on our YouTube channel / podcast. We are honored to have the great Nevada Banks with us here today to give us her thoughts on The World Is Not Enough, because I hear maybe that Nevada is a Pierce Brosnan fan. So I'm really looking forward to it. I have to say, how are you doing, Nevada?
I'm good. I'm glad to not be a man nor 40, but be invited in here. Yes.
Does it feel okay? Is it a welcome space? Is it a safe space for people who are neither men nor 40?
Yes. And since I'm so much younger than all of you, it seems very appropriate with the movies, just how young I am and how old you are.
We wanted to get a Gen Z viewpoint on the movie.
Yeah.
So we reached out across the aisle, and then we've got a young'un here to talk about, because I imagine were you even alive when this was filmed in 1999?
It's hard to remember.
Nevada, can I ask you what your history is or your experience with James Bond, either growing up, or is this the first James Bond movie that you were ever subjected to?
I remember, I feel like my first James Bond experience was one of the Brosnan films. It might have been this one. I don't really remember. I have like a vague memory of yeah. And then when we were doing the math on what year it was, it just seemed like sort of an inappropriate age for me to be seeing. I don't know. Anyways, I feel like Bond has always been something that has been sort of like a date movie, and I've been on a lot of those.
What date is taking you to The World Is Not Enough?
No. I'm talking more the more modern.
Oh, the Craig movies, yes. Actually, probably a classy date. I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can I ask you a question? Do you go kicking and screaming to these Bond movies like Mandy does or Caitlin does, or will you go willingly?
Yeah, no, I think I've gone willingly to all the, I've definitely seen the modern ones more than the old ones. The old ones I've seen in more recent times. Being married to this guy. Yeah.
Now, do you have to be strapped to the couch to watch a Roger Moore?
There's a lot of stop going on your phone. It's hard for me to sort of stay with it. Yeah.
Do you do that too? Fair. I do that as well. I'm like, Caitlin, you're missing the finer, subtle points of what James is doing here. Yeah. Did you see he had his martini? It was shaken. It wasn't stirred. That's why
you are not missing anything. That is a wise choice to be on your phone during some of these films.
Yeah.
I have to assume. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just I like the idea of the retro ones, but then 20 minutes in, I'm like,
I'm in your camp too. I like the idea of these movies more than I like the movies themselves.
Yeah. Oh no! I like these movies.
I don't know.
But I will say that because I think my first introduction was Brosnan. To me, that's what Bond is supposed to be. So everything else is like horrifying. I know. So he's my Bond.
Wow. Well, now you're boiling my blood.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so glad we have an actual Brosnan fan here today. I never thought it would happen. That's terrific.
Yeah.
So what did you think of The World Is Not Enough?
I'll just read you the first. I wrote a bunch of notes.
Wonderful.
I'll just read you the first thing.
Sure.
Looks hot in glasses, big dick energy. Wow.
Wow. Well, Mrs. Pierce really appreciates that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We should just end it here. That was enough.
That's the first
Get it
note that
better
you
than that.
made. Is that from the pre-credit sequence in which James Bond is impersonating, I believe, a Swiss banker or meeting with a Swiss banker? I wasn't quite sure.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So immediately and now, okay. So I need to ask you this: do you find Pierce Brosnan to be a very handsome man?
Yeah.
He is, huh?
Yeah.
Where would you rank him on? Can we rank him? Is that are we gonna get canceled for ranking of the other Bonds that you're aware of? If you throw in like a Daniel Craig there, where do you rank Pierce?
It's very hard.
It is, huh?
It's very hard.
Okay.
They're two different types.
Uh-huh. I think he's the prettiest Bond for sure.
I think that he had more of an effect on my psyche as a young woman.
Wow.
But I would say Craig is more my cup of tea now.
Right, because what I was going to say about Pierce Brosnan is that he seems like a real low T Bond. Like he has a low of all the Bonds, he's got the lowest T. And you don't seem, because you know who you're married to, you don't seem like you're really into low T guys. So I'm really shocked to know that Pierce Brosnan is your favorite. Because Daniel Craig, that's a high T Bond.
Yeah, but Daniel Craig is also like a zombie with no facial expression. So
right. But I can see Pierce Brosnan discussing how he's getting off of gluten soon, whereas I don't see that from like Daniel Craig.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think he's lower T than Roger Moore?
Oh yeah, even the Roger Moore.
No.
That's a close one, but yeah.
Okay. Great.
In terms of big dick energy, like Nevada said, I would think that that Pierce Brosnan ranks lowest.
Just like his hair is always blown out, and he's like like my first like 5 notes were about his like glasses acting. There was this whole thing. He had like special glasses.
Mm-hmm. His
very,
glasses
like,
have aged horribly. All of his fashion has aged horribly, except I really like the linen suit that he wears when he's in the submarine. I think he looks terrific in that. I would wear that suit in a heartbeat.
Right.
I think so. Chris Banks, how are you feeling about this? Because I know that you're not a Brosnan fan. In fact, I don't even know if you've seen the last 2 movies that we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. I hadn't seen the Die Another Day and Tomorrow Never Dies in many years.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched this one. This was one where when it first came out, I ranked this as my favorite of the Brosnans.
Mm-hmm.
And going back and looking at it today, I have no idea what I was thinking. I honestly can't believe that I thought this was good at some point.
Okay.
It's such a deeply flawed movie. It feels like this film maybe at some point ran out of a budget and they started filming all these really murky scenes in like a warehouse. I found so much of it just bordering on parody. A lot of there's horrible puns in this movie. Right. Like when he sleeps with the female doctor to avoid being sidelined, he says I've skirted the issue, things like that.
Yeah, he should have got his testosterone levels checked while he was there.
This is really one of the pitfalls of the Brosnan films, is that he rarely speaks without making some sort of quip or pun.
Also,
it's very distracting.
Robert Carlyle, as you might remember as Begbie from Trainspotting, he's a fantastic psychopath in that movie. In this movie, he's fully neutered. He's one of the least menacing villains. And
one of the least interesting too.
How preposterous is it that the setup for this villain is that he has a bullet in his head that's making him stronger.
Oh, it's so bad.
What?
Until the day he dies.
Right. Yeah, until he dies, he gets stronger. He feels
do we have a villain that has a little tick or something that is actually practical or pragmatic or realistic. I mean, Dr. No is the first movie, and the guy has metal hands. He dies because he can't climb out of a pole. There's nothing in these movies. Like, I'm willing to award that conceit. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Who cares?
The bullet never
from his eyeballs. I don't care.
The bullet never bothered me, but like he said, though, that was a big problem. Was that I was so excited to see Begbie as a Bond villain, and I thought he was going to be amazing. And the early releases were, oh, he's so good in this movie, and it's an underwhelming performance. And I think it was mainly the direction and the script as opposed to the actor himself.
I know they brought in a script writer to punch up a lot of the female dialogue, which you wouldn't have expected given Christmas Jones, but I think Sophie Marceau is pretty good. Nevada, I think you have something to say about this.
Let me just give you an example of that punchy female dialogue.
Please.
Denise Richards says, "Are you here for a reason, or are you just here for a glimmer?"
Yeah, because it was a reference to that guy who looked, did you guys notice the guy working at that mine site there who looked exactly like Harvey Weinstein? I was sure it was Harvey, like a dead ringer. And this is the guy who's like, oh, she doesn't like men. I've tried to get a glimmer for 4 seasons in a row now. And then that precipitates the glimmer line.
Oh, I see.
Delivered really well by Denise Richards.
Can we stop
Denise Richards a terrible... What's that?
Can we talk about Denise Richards? Because...
Sure, we can.
This is a spectacularly bad performance. I'd like
pretty good for Denise Richards.
I'd like to get read a quote that I found about this acting. It says, quote, "I'm sure this young American woman is a terrific human being, a good citizen, and can really dance well. But as an actress, she gives a tree slug a run for its money in the expression category. Admittedly, she's made to say stupid things, but she says them so dim bulbishly, with such lightless eyes and such a childless monotone, that you wonder if her parents knew where she was. Putting her in this movie almost seems like child abuse."
Wow.
So you're a British spy. You got a name? Come on. This is tough. I think we're being hard on
that in writing for those of us that don't speak spy.
You give that line to Meryl Streep and you tell me that she can deliver it any better than Denise Richards. It's not a great script. Right?
Kind of a shame, though, because they had a good Bond girl, I think, in Cigar Girl at the beginning. Why didn't they just use her in Denise Richards' role?
I wanted to know more about Cigar Girl. I ultimately don't know why everyone's willing to fall on their swords for Renard. Because I guess Renard is the person who she's referring to when she's like, no, I have to blow myself up. He'll get me.
Yeah.
Renard?
Yeah, that's a big problem with the film is that you have this backstory with Renard and Electra, and it's alluded to several times, but there's no real character development there. And so we're expected to kind of have some kind of understanding of these characters, and there's no flashbacks, there's no real explanation given to their relationship. It's a very weird relationship between those two.
I did think they had a couple good scenes together, and I thought they did as good as they could with it. I like Sophie Marceau. I think she's a great actress, and I thought she was pretty good in this. I mean, I think we're holding these people to standards in James Bond movies that never existed. We have to go back and Paul, is your favorite James Bond girl Plenty O'Toole? I mean, she is horrible.
she's definitely yeah.
She's nobody's favorite.
Right.
I just watched The Man with the Golden Gun, and you're telling me that Britt Eklund outacts Sophie Marceau or even Denise Richards? Britt Eklund is useless.
No. Denise Richards is doing the best job she can. Like, she is. Like,
I thought you were going to say the Lord's work, but
yeah, that too. No, but like, she's been coached, she's taken the classes. She is like on set. Like, this is her chance. I did write down that it's very hard for her to close her bottom lip, but I think maybe
called being slack-jawed.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of that. But it's probably before Botox. She was just trying to.
I think she's a bit of a mouth breather just to begin with.
Yeah, well, I mean, I should mention they did cast her, I think, because she was coming off hot off the success of Wild Things.
Correct. And Neve Campbell turned it down.
Right.
Yeah, I think Neve Campbell would have been a lot more believable in this, huh?
She's a better actor. I don't know if she's really a Bond girl.
Yeah, all right. Denise Richards is far from a Bond girl, but I don't know. Everyone shits all over Denise Richards. And her
What, as
performance.
opposed to the master thespians have been Bond girls before? Come on, she fits.
That's what I'm talking about.
She's very well cast as a nuclear scientist. So there's that.
I don't find that, you know what? I don't find her that problematic in this film. I think if you look back at the other films, there's a lot of uneven acting throughout all the Bond girls. I will say that I think that Pierce Brosnan is his best in this film than he's in any of the other ones. I think he kind of gets into the character a little bit more, even though the character he's developed isn't all that interesting.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I don't know. I watched this movie, I want to say a month ago, and I was kind of in and out of it. And I watched it this time, and I was like, you know what? This is really fun. Because you know why I think that? Because I watched The Man with the Golden Gun at midnight.
Yeah.
And that is Nevada, I'm sorry if you haven't seen this. I'll try and summarize The Man with the Golden Gun. Roger Moore has a gunfight with a 51-year-old vampire movie star. That's it. That's the movie. And that goes on for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so this, I'm like, oh man, the pre-credit sequence, he's jumping out of a window, he shoots a bunch of guys. That boat sequence, even at the time, I thought it was fun. And in the intervening years, I thought, oh, this is cheesy. I watched it today. Brosnan's getting wet. You know, he's going under the water. He's adjusting his tie. Who cares?
It was fun. The beginning of it, we were both like, oh my God, this is so fun. And like, we were having a great time. And there came a point where we started checking like how much was left, which is, I think, what Chris was saying about, like,
it was 1 hour and 10 minutes in the movie.
It was like two different movies.
We were done.
I had the exact same experience as you guys. When I was watching the opening title sequence, I said, I am going to have such a hot take for the guys at I'm a Man, I'm 40. These idiots ranked this too low, right? I'm like, this is moving up to like number 14 on my list. And then about an hour into the movie, I was like, no, it belongs here. I'm pretty bored.
The action sequences just go on for so long. The saw blade thing is kind of cheesy, and he hacks up. That goes on for probably 20 minutes. No, okay, 12 minutes, where the saw blades are coming in, and then they've got the explosions in the mine. That goes on for friggin' ever. You know, there's too many guns.
That's where it loses me. It's that the mine sequence. There's just Uzi after explosion at Uzi, and at a certain point, it just all is sound and fury to me, and it stops being interesting. It's the curse of these modern Bond movies.
And absolutely. And I'm going to say this to the Bond producers out there. After having these beautiful vistas in this movies, do not make your climax in a goddamn submarine or inside the hull of a ship. It does not photograph well. It's really claustrophobic.
Right.
It's a dull setting. And by that point, like, you don't need to see the boss fight. I'm tired of the boss fight with like, oh, we're gonna have a long drawn out fight sequence with Renard, right?
Well, who is the main villain? Is it Renard or is it Electra King?
It's Electra King. So at that point, it's more like a loose end to tie up, and you're just kind of bored at that point.
I think Renard's more of a henchman than he is an actual. You know, we're looking at him, and we see Robert Carlyle's in this movie, and we expect this. Yeah, there's going to be fireworks, and there's going to be this big explosive bad guy performance. But really, it's Sophie Marceau that I think lends any level of credibility to this. And I did like the interactions between them. When he finds out that she's died, he seems genuinely pissed off. And the last time that he sees her, he knows he's going to his death. I think he gives a little something to it. Gives what he can to a pretty weak ass script.
When she dies, though, he does the weirdest thing. Like, he goes up over her body and like stands in this weird way. Like, what? I couldn't even pin down like what that was and why it made me feel so uncomfortable, and what it was like really problematic. It was like, I love you when you're dead, baby.
Yeah. No, I noticed that. As well.
Finally, shut her up for good.
It was a weird scene, and I thought their whole relationship was kind of problematic. This was James Bond, kind of being like a weird lovesick puppy when he's reviewing her case and like trying to wipe her tears away on the screen. This is not James Bond, right? This is some guy searching plenty of fish.
Chris Banks.
That's not James. That's what. You see Sean Connery. Would you see Sean Connery like wiping the screws? Oh, I want to meet her and wipe away the tears of her pain. Come on, that's not the character we know. That's not the sociopathic character we know and love.
Gosh. I mean, that's Brosnan's Bond, right? Yeah. And this hashtag not my Bond, but This is Nevada's Bond. You know, you prefer a more sensitive Bond? Just not a Bond looming over your dead corpse?
Yeah, it was just, I guess that was like out of character because he was more sensitive the rest of the time. And then he just did this like weird, I don't know.
Well,
power
I don't
move.
know. There was the moment where Denise Richards was talking about, well, I better get this done or someone's going to have my ass. And Brosnan's like, first things first. How sensitive is that? He's also seen Wild Things.
And then we get that spectacular heat signature sex scene in the end.
Well, now, I don't want to blow up our spot here for a future I'm a Man, I'm 40 review. This is Banks's idea to do a cheesiest lines. But I think this movie has the worst line, does it not? Do we want to? Yeah, I don't know if we want to. Nevada hasn't seen this movie. Did you appreciate how they punctuated the film?
What?
Or you might have been asleep by then.
Yeah, probably.
He's embroiled in some intense lovemaking with Christmas Jones, and by intense, I mean, what's the word that I'm looking for here? It's incredibly sleepy and non-erotic in any way.
Low T.
It's very low T. Thank you. That's on point. And says, "Oh my." And I thought Christmas only comes once a year.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then like heat map that they're watching, and then they're like, "Oh, that's what I was looking at."
Okay, you know what? This line is terrible, but there's so, like when I've been rewatching all these James Bond films, there is a cheesy line at the end of or the middle of all of these films that's just as bad. At one point, like in Moonraker, they'll accuse like. I think he's attempting re-entry, sir. When
yeah,
or
just keeping the British end up. Or,
right? Yeah.
There's Margaret Thatcher one in For Your Eyes Only where he's like making out with somebody, and the parrot is on the phone with Margaret Thatcher.
Right.
Yeah, the Margaret Thatcher. Oh boy, we'll have some stuff to say about that. Please,
so I don't think it's fair to dump all over this terrible. It's a terrible line, but it really fits with the rest of the series.
I laughed.
Yeah. Okay, when I was in the theater, the whole theater laughed and groaned at the same time. It was quite an amazing moment.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I just wrote down about that moment at the end with the heat map. Poor Judi Dench, who is some sort of weird alien because she looks the same in this film as she looks today. So like something weird's going on there. But her line is, "It's getting redder." Like heat map. Like Judi Dench was asked to say this line. Like,
oh, you missed the last film when she said, "Pump her for information." This is Dame Judy. We have a little alteration to the script.
Yeah.
Can you put extra emphasis on the pump her for information part? Thanks. So Nevada, did you enjoy watching the film?
The first half.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
The first half, we were really having a good time, and then it was just like, and it was fun at the beginning. Like it was, even though it was campy, it was sort of fun campy, and then it just got like not fun camp.
Would you watch another James Bond film?
Yes.
Okay. Would it be a Brosnan, or would you want to dip into another Uwe? I mean, your husband here, better half here, really loves this Sean Connery guy.
I know. I've always had a strange aversion to Sean Connery. When younger, I
be his rampant misogyny.
Maybe
the Barbara Walters interview.
No, I haven't like paid that much attention to him or like what he's been up to, which I'm sure is that. Oh, right, he talked about like slapping a woman, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
His wife.
It's not even that. It's like
open-handed. So
right. Yeah. Ever since I was a kid, I just like he just gives me the creeps. He really does. Chris is horrified that I'm saying this.
No.
I'm a little bit surprised because even when I'm watching those early Bonds, I'm like, this guy is suave, and I can see why people are drawn to this guy.
He's suave and he's handsome, but he just, I don't know. My skin just crawls with him. I don't know why.
Right.
So if you were in some kind of a bar and all the James Bonds were in there, would you want Sean Connery to come and talk to you, or would you prefer Pierce Brosnan came and talk to you?
I would prefer Pierce Brosnan.
Really? Oh, man.
Yeah.
What was it? Big Dick Energy?
Now, or?
Do you, Nevada, I'm curious, do you find these movies problematic from a female perspective? Like, I mean, I don't, this movie is, to an extent, I mean, I don't know, certainly one of the female characters is severely underwritten, and I think Sophie Marceau's character is decent. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Well, I was actually surprised at this film at like how many of the main characters were women, right? And that first like chase, that was like a woman, and so they're terrible, but it's not like he's getting great lines and she's not. I don't know. Of course they're problematic. They're super problematic, but they're problematic in so many ways, like racially, just like everything. It's sort of part of it. And I feel like I kind of like the new ones are stupid, even though I've been on lots of dates to them. They're stupid. They're different movies. They're spy movies of the now where they're not being super racist. They still are being misogynist in a different sort of way that's less campy. Honestly, I would prefer campy misogyny because at least there's a little bit of a like wink and a nudge to it, as opposed to just like, I don't know, it being sort of under the surface. So the new ones I feel like they're just a different movie. And so to me, the Bond is like campier, the puns and all those stupid skiing down hills. And like, it's just more cartoony. Whereas
what's cartoony about a parahawk and an inflatable jacket?
I just think it's really stupid that they're still making them and calling them Bond when they're not sticking to that.
Yeah.
And they're not making them super progressive. Although I hear that the new one is going to be like a whole.
Yeah, we'll see. I've heard a lot of things about that movie. I'm so excited to see it, and it's just not happening for a while. So will you guys go and see that? You'll see that movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to have to do an I'm a Man, I'm 40 like live red carpet event.
Can't do a YouTube channel /podcast and then not go see about 25 Bond films and then just failed to see them.
Nah, I'm done. I'm over all this stuff. I feel like some of you guys are just like, you don't like more than half of these movies.
Oh, I'm firmly in
like
that
this
camp.
movie. What's that?
Well, we're
I'm
starting
totally
at
in
the
that
bottom, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta
You
tell
know what I will say about these movies, though? Nothing, especially the early like Moores and the Connerys, I think some of them suck. But I'm also sad that nothing will ever suck in the same way these things suck. Right?
They do suck in a very unique way.
Unique way, yeah, absolutely. You won't see these wild tonal inconsistencies. You won't see that anymore because everything's run through a focus group now.
Now things just suck in the most bland. It's just like, well, that's just like a million other, like all the superhero, like everything just starts to be the same. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying too. I'd rather it just be a cacophony of gong.
Yeah, that's why I like this.
Spectacular failure films.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the movies are rarely good. I mean, there's a few James Bond movies that are like, oh, this is a really good movie. And there are a few, I mean, this is a spectacular failure, but I still enjoy it. I still enjoy that character. And I enjoy, like you say, the campy elements of it and like the consistent elements of it. And I like seeing these characters that I've kind of grown up with. So, yeah, I still think there's some merit to watching these things.
We're going to run out of time here, guys.
You're going to run out of time. So if anyone, Nevada, you want to plug your YouTube channel, you got about 15 seconds.
Go watch Keep Calm with Carol. Yeah.
You guys hear that? Keep Calm with Carol on YouTube, right? I'll put some links in the show notes. That's what people say. I'll put links in the show notes. If you want to hear more of what Nevada has to say, it's way better than what we're doing here. She's a professional. We're just hacks over here.
It's not better.
It absolutely is. You should definitely check that out. What about you guys? Banks, do you have anything you want to plug?
Certainly not.
Wow. Well, I could talk about this movie forever, but it seems like we're out of time on this one. So that is it for the I'm a Man, I'm 40 deep dive of The World Is Not Enough. I'm a Man, I'm 40 will return with its review of the 21st favorite James Bond movie, which is Octopussy.
That's outrageous. We're talking about it so soon.
I can't wait. All right. Take care, guys.